Ladies, all my UMBWs, welcome to Black Women Making Money. Tonight is the promised AI show. I've got a wonderful guest. She's backstage. Y'all are going to love her. Tonight's conversation is going to be about AI, what's happening, and how we as UMBWs can navigate in our professional careers because y'all know I've been talking about AI with regards to how billion-dollar companies and brands are going to be run by 5, maybe 10, 20 people at the max, right? How do we be a part of that? How are we going to actually navigate artificial intelligence over the next few years? So I'm going to put the 90-second clock on. Please like the video, ladies, like the video, and I hope that you're going to be super interactive with me and my guest this evening. All right, ladies, here is the 90-second clock. Welcome to Black Women Making Money. We are the home of the upwardly mobile Black woman. For exclusive content and invitations to our Inner Circle Zoom meetings, which happen on a monthly basis, you can sign up for free for our email newsletter at bwmakingmoney.com. That's bwmakingmoney.com. Hey, ladies, welcome to tonight's session all about artificial intelligence. I'm going to bring up my guest right now. She is a wonderful AI expert. I met her actually many years ago because we were both on a panel together talking about tech. That was back in my business plan writing days. When we were talking about doing the AI show, there was nobody better that I could think of to bring on than Miss Ann Griffin. So, hey, Ann, welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here today. I'm super excited to share what I know with everyone. And I'm sure also, there'll be some things we talk about that'll make me actually go deeper on certain topics outside of this.
Yes, absolutely. So, first of all, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. I just know you as like a person who's always been on the cutting edge of tech and like how we as Black women and Black people can navigate in our professional careers. But why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm an AI product leader. So I do product management in the world of tech. I build a lot of AI powered tech products. I also use a lot of AI products in my day to day, which I know we'll talk a lot about as well. So I've been in tech for over 14 years, have worked with Fortune 500 companies. Now I mostly work with startups and scale ups, really helping them figure out where should we be focused with our AI efforts and making sure that those products are actually successful. And then also teach on O'Reilly called Jumpstart Your AI Career. That is the name of the course I teach there. And then I've also done some guest lectures for Columbia, West Point have been nominated for the Mayfield Divot AI list. I didn't make it this year, but hopefully next year. But I was nominated, so super proud and excited about that. And I'm sure there's something else that, oh, and I'm also a Forbes contributor, and I write about the intersection of AI and strategy. And so well, there's a lot of angles, and I'll say I keep my ear to the ground for kind of what directions I should go in next.
Yeah. So where do you teach the Jumpstart Your AI career? Is that
Yes.
something we can take?
Yes, actually,
Okay.
the next one is on November 10th. It's on O'Reilly. So even if you just go to Google and type in Jumpstart Your AI Career O'Reilly, some people, it's easier for them to remember, like they think about the O'Reilly Auto Parts commercial, but it's not O'Reilly Auto Parts. It's a education content distributor.
Okay.
If you go type in Jumpstart Your AI Career O'Reilly, my class will pop up and you can register.
Very cool, lady. So while Anne is talking, I'm going to look at that and see if I can find the link for you ladies. But Jumpstart Your AI Career O'Reilly
Yeah.
is where Anne is. If you want to learn from just one of the best, and you all are going to be so impressed this evening. I want to say hello to Jasmine, saying hello from California. Sid is in the building. Good evening to you. A Patty is always here, saying good evening to everybody. Ladies, please like the video. Ladies, please like the video. Share. Y'all know I always ask you to share the streams, but this one especially because we're going to be talking about AI from our point of view as professional women, UMBWs, and some of the pitfalls this AI and how we can actually navigate that. We're going to have a very frank discussion this evening about that. My girl Purple Rain is in the building. Hello to you. The luxury bucket list is here. Impressive. I am an RTE/SM. I don't know what that means, but y'all know me. I love whatever you all are doing. So do you know what this is? RTE/SM?
I am not entirely sure, but
Okay.
yeah.
Luxury bucket list, if you could tell us what that means, great. Ron, oh, sorry, Ash Love is in the building. Hello, hello. Um, and Fitness is here saying great topic. Hello, everybody. Okay, then. So let's jump in to I'm going to actually share my screen here because I want to show quick Google search. For everybody here. How will AI affect Black jobs? I know, controversial way to say it, but I need to, to put it really quickly in. And the fact that Google recognizes Black jobs is an interesting thing as well. But it says here, and of course, we have to um, uh, trust but verify some of this information, but AI is expected to disproportionately affect Black jobs, quote unquote, due to overrepresentation in occupations with high automation potential, such as customer service and office support, which could widen existing economic disparities. While AI may also impact some higher wage jobs, which they will, certain higher wage jobs, um, it threatens the gateway jobs, or for many of us, the gateway jobs are honestly the entry level jobs are being threatened. Um, so it threatens the gateway jobs that serve as stepping stones upward to upward mobility for Black workers. On the other hand, there's also potential for AI to create new opportunities if Black workers are prepared for them, such as in the growing tech industry or by using AI to enhance careers in job sectors like health and financial inclusion. So, I'm going to read a little bit more of this, Anne, and then have you kind of jump in and tell me what
Yeah.
you found in your research. So, according to this, job displacement and economic risk. Research from McKinsey indicates that 24% of Black workers are in jobs with high potential for automation compared to 20% of white workers. So, not, I mean, 4%, but not that bad. Vulnerable sectors, Black workers are overrepresented in sectors such as customer service, office support, and food service, all of which has significant automation potential. It can affect negatively the wealth gap. and blah, 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 blah. New jobs here, skill development. Uh, we're going to talk a little bit later about the bias in hiring and AI. You all know I have been beating the drum with
Yes.
regards to this. But, Anne, what have you found with regards
Yeah.
to us? What's going to happen with employment, the future of employment, and just tell us, give us your brain, tell us what you're thinking with regard to all of that.
Yeah. Well, we're in a weird perfect storm right now. And I don't even think right now is necessarily, there's a lot of things that people need to do to upskill to work with AI. But today, if in case anyone here missed it, Amazon announced they're going to cut 30,000 jobs, not 3,000, 30,000 jobs. And we've heard things like Meta last week actually cut 600 jobs from their super intelligence group, which they've been on a hiring spree all summer. Like they offered somebody like $1 billion to leave one startup and come work for them, right?
Mhm.
And
Can I ask you a question? I thought Amazon was firing 600,000 people over the course of several years as automation and AI comes in. I thought that
maybe
was the number that I heard. You
is
keep
the,
talking. I'm going to check it
is
out.
the Reuters thing that came out today said they're
Okay.
targeting corporate jobs starting like they're cutting like those starting Tuesday. So this might be part of that 60,000,
Yeah.
but they announced
So,
that starting Tuesday they're going to lay off. So and I got that from Reuters
mhm.
earlier.
Yeah, so I see with the Reuters um and then uh I had heard it on Breaking Points, which is a news show on YouTube that I like and trust. But okay, I see it here. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna share it on the screen for you.
Yeah.
It is saying share screen just so that we can all be on the same page here. This is Yahoo Finance. Amazon has plans to shift 600,000 jobs to robots,
Mhm.
replacing the need for warehouse workers. And this
Yeah.
is Black Enterprise.
That
And
one's from
October 23rd, 2025. So I think that this is coming over the next several years
yeah, yeah.
with regards to robots. So both AI
Mhm.
and robots are going to be working
Yeah.
together, you know,
Yeah.
but go ahead.
And the thing is I think some of this, yes, is there's the robot shift, but I also
Mhm,
think that there's a shift of, um, what's going on with the U.S. economy right now, and
mhm,
what we're looking at, even from a supply chain thing globally, because of global tensions, combined with I think a lot of companies seeing the promise of AI, because there are a lot of things where AI is helping and it is reducing the need for as many people. From what I am seeing, though, there's still a lot of oversight needed.
mhm,
We are starting to see some of these companies pop up where it is like, oh, what would have been like a 50-person startup is like a 5-person startup. But
mhm,
those are startups where like they are coming in AI native. And so when I think about, what's going on in AI and jobs, of it's partially of when will the AI be ready to necessarily do that? And when will people like you, me, everyone else be ready for that day, combined
mhm,
with some of the things that we're seeing that are not necessarily AI driven, that are more economy driven, but are happening all at the same time. And so there's a lot of upskilling that is needed. And there's some of it is like, yes, figuring out what jobs are not easily automated, but
mhm,
also just figuring out how to use AI well so that you are still known for your craft. Because I think that's one of the big struggles of, if you want to be able to be known for your craft, but be able to, increase your output, also increase your quality, and maybe do things you otherwise couldn't do, which is something that AI helps me do. Of like, okay, there's specific things where it's just much like, oh, I use this weekend, I was basically, I was like, I'm going to split my personal site and my consulting website.
mhm,
And I was working with ChatGPT to figure out like the branding and content strategy. And I know just enough that if I work with somebody who does that, I can figure it out.
mhm,
But I don't really know enough that if I don't work with somebody else or ChatGPT, I can figure it out on my own. And I got actually like pretty far with ChatGPT down a road that I was like, oh, I actually feel really good about the direction it's going in terms of the content strategy, branding, that sort of thing. And that's the thing where it's like, okay, that's not directly tied to my consulting work, but it is something where, okay, this does help me as I'm thinking about building products in terms of thinking about the content strategy of the product and those sort of things, and thinking, okay, these are things where I'm able to, do things that otherwise, I'd be like, oh, well, you guys don't have a content strategist. Like, I'm going to do a mediocre job because you don't have someone else can come in, or, oh, you guys have to hire someone. I work for myself now, so I consult with companies. I go in and I help them. But this really just extends how much I'm able to help, because I'm like, oh, I'm able to figure this out on my own. But I always set my limits. I know you and I had a quick chat before this about like,
Yeah, and I'm
at
gonna
what point do I feel like even with AI,
Mhm.
I'm not going to produce quality work? Like, one of the things, like, for example, is like AI generated code. I can read code, but
Mhm.
I'm not in the weeds day to day in and out of code that I can tell you, oh, this is quality enough that you would want to merge anything I create with AI code wise into your production environment. And so those are things where it's like understanding where my limitations are, but also always pushing my own boundaries to be able to be very AI fluent. Because I think about it as, if you were one of those people when the internet came around, and this is probably not anybody here, but where they were like, oh, work gave me a computer, I don't want to touch it, or, oh, like, I don't know why people are emailing me. I think people should just come over to my desk and say something, or, print out a thing and put it on my desk. You don't want to be the last person on the internet, just like you don't want to be the last person that is figuring this out. And I think what's happening now is so much of this, yes, there are training programs, but so much of this is really agency. Like, do you have the agency to push yourself to figure it out? Because everyone's still figuring it out. And you need to figure out how these things fit in with your own superpowers so that you have unique value, making it harder for you to replace.
Yeah. So I'm a mortgage loan officer. The community knows this. And within the coaching groups that I belong to two, both of them say the same thing. They say there are going to be loan officers that use AI and loan officers that are no longer loan officers. So um, there is within our industry, there's the threat that somebody will do a loan, a mortgage
Mhm.
loan,
Yeah.
and not need to talk to a human at all, right? There's this threat.
Yeah.
Um, However, one of the things that's come up in our conversations is, but people still like to talk to a human and make sure that, hey,
Hmm.
I am getting the right advice from the robot, right?
Yeah.
And I was listening to this conversation where they were talking about Gen Zers.
Yep.
Young, oh, they don't like to talk to people, and it's like, yeah, but at some point they're
Yes.
still going to want to talk to somebody. The other thing with AI is my mother, going to
Hmm.
the other end, my mother was trying to get something done because she is going on a trip internationally.
Yeah.
And she calls Verizon in order to get whatever thing needs to be done so that she can call from her phone while she's overseas. And the AI effed it up. That's all I'm going to
Hmm.
say.
Yep.
He's going to 3 countries. The AI only got 1 country, and she got so frustrated
Mm.
that she, "Operator,
Yeah.
operator, I wanna talk to a human." Um, it's my understanding, and you can let me know what
Hmm.
you, have encountered. It's my understanding that, um, in certain industries, certain types of jobs, the super majority of people are going to be let go, and there's going to be a skeleton crew. And the skeleton crew is going to be the best of the best, let's say within customer service.
Hmm.
It's going to be the best of the best that's there. Um, is that what you've heard? Are these are some of the things that you have been
Yeah.
speaking about to other people in the field?
Yeah. I mean, one example that I see that kind of already follows this is, there's this woman named Claire Vo. She has this startup called Chat PRD that helps people in tech write product requirements documents. And she actually was the chief product and technology officer at a company called Launch Darkly. And she was doing that and starting this on the side. I think she maybe has one full-time employee and maybe like a couple part-time people, but she was making enough money. And mind you, comparing this, I can't speak to whether or not it replaced her entire salary, but she was making enough money that she felt it was worth it to leave her full-time job as chief product and technology officer at Launch Darkly to go full-time with her startup that she had already been running for over a year called Chat PRD. And she's running it with way less people than she would have had to run it with 5 years ago. And so I'm noticing this more with the AI native people where it's like, hey, they started after generative AI was a thing, after Chat PRD or Chat GPT was a thing, and they are creating their own companies. But I do think that within larger corporate companies, as AI gets better and better, you will see it's like the best of the best, the people who are always thinking ahead, the people who have a strategic mindset and aren't like waiting for permission. But when they do something, like they're not like necessarily like, oh, no, please don't do that. And so I really do see this as like there are going to be less jobs. And also I think combined with, unless there's something that starts turning the economy around, there's also going to be this thing of like, we will always have this idea of the consumer, but there used to be a lot more consumer power. If Amazon is laying off that many people, right? That is less money to be like, I'm going to get an extra present for my nephew at Christmas. Like he's going to get maybe here's like, something that's a little more homemade. It's his favorite cake at Christmas, right? And so it also affects like if people are thinking of doing their own businesses, deciding, okay, what businesses am I starting to, and who am I serving, knowing where the buying power is currently. So there being less jobs, but then also being like, what jobs feel like they are in companies that are going to be around through this combination of automation and however long this period of kind of the economy being volatile lasts.
Yeah. So you said so much in there. The K-shaped economy is real. And we've talked about this on this channel. The K-shaped economy basically means the rich are going to get richer, the poor are going to get poorer. My point of having this channel and really speaking with all the women and gathering the women here is to say, look, there are rich people out there. We just want to be employed by them with very good salaries, 150, 200, 250, etc. The ladies and I have gone over places where they can go in order to get the skills that they need. The other big thing I'm always harping on is skills and networks, skills and networks, skills and networks.
Yeah.
You need the skills. However, if nobody knows you and nobody knows you can do that thing and you can do it really well, you are, it's going to be infinitely difficult, infinitely more difficult. The final thing that I have to say is, yes, more people are going to be entrepreneurs or 1099s. However, if you're going to be an entrepreneur or a 1099 and you don't know how to market, you don't know how to sell, you don't know how to persuade people to hire you on that 1099 basis or hire your company, in a world where you think, oh, all I have to do is do TikToks or social media or things like that. Everybody, quote unquote, let's say, 3 billion people have Instagram accounts and things like that. So you have to get past all that noise. I don't think that just saying to UMBWs to just start a business, have a business is going to be the answer for people. I'd love to. So you're shaking your head with so much of this. I'll toss it back to you with regards to what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I do think people oversimplify it about like, oh, just start your own business. But like you said, if you don't know how to do these things, and like, yes, you can learn them, but like, it is also a question of like, can you learn them fast enough to not run out of money? Because one of the things is even for me, for the type of business I do, I had to learn how does marketing work and how does business development work in the business that I am where I'm selling my services to tech companies, to startups, right? And I used to
Mhm.
say, well, like I'm an introvert. I don't really like talking to people like that much. Like I don't want to be on the phone with people. And one of my friends who's a retired journalist has always told me, you actually have to talk to people, not just about for jobs, just in general. And one of the things that I've learned over the last year is actually getting really good at having authentic conversations with people
Mhm.
in a way that like makes them want to work with you, but does like I'll say in a way that is authentic to me. But it
Mhm.
is a thing of like because I was also in a field where it's like, okay, AI is in demand, people want this skill. I think I had a little bit more grace figuring some of that out than maybe some other fields. So I think there's a lot of if you have a job right now, making sure you are, and if you have a desire to go into entrepreneurship in the future, making sure that you are learning enough about it to either decide if that's for you or not, or that if you decide to go solo, you have the skills to make sure that you still have money incoming um, you know, during like kind of incoming as you're kind of figuring out the various parts of your business. But I think
Mhm.
there's very real about learning all those things. But I even think that even if you're not going to start your own business, it is really important to understand those aspects. So not just like how do I work with AI and like what is the future of work or jobs, because if there's less jobs overall, right?
Mhm.
Um, because of AI or other factors, you're up against a lot more competition for those jobs. You might be the best of the best, but now you're competing only with the best of the best. And so you have to get really good at selling yourself. You have to know where the specific type of companies that would hire what you do, you need to know where they hang out, how you would meet those people, all those things. And so it's like whether or not you are intending to be a full-time employee or an entrepreneur, these are skills that you need to learn because things are going to get a lot more competitive.
They are. They're gonna get infinitely more competitive. Purple Rain says here, it's funny in school, kids got punished for talking too much. Here's the one thing I will say for this. It's not about talking more just to talk.
Yes.
It's talking, um, it is talking in the right amount so that people see your skills. They see that you are going to fit into their corporate culture and they want to pull you into the organization instead of you having to scratch and claw and beg somebody to, hire you and give you money. Wouldn't it be great if you had multiple people coming to you every year saying, "Hey, you know, hey, Purple Rain, if you ever decide to leave that company that you're at, come work for me. I'll give you another 15,000, 20,000, $30,000. I'll pay for you to go back to school. Don't worry about it. Just come work over here." And you don't get that without skills and networks. And again, it's not about talking a lot.
Yeah.
It is about and this the ratio of two
Yeah.
ears to one mouth still is valid, right? But it is when you're going to say something, saying the right thing and in such a way that people are like, yeah, that's Cherie. I want her on my team. And I just wanted to point that out because I think that that is so important. Communication and talked about is like I used to break it down with skills and networks. I used to say not only your technical skills is how you do that job itself. So for me, I'm a mortgage loan officer. Yes, I need to know how to take someone's application, how to pull the file together, and how to submit it to the underwriter. Yes, that is my technical skill. It doesn't have to do with technology, right? But soft skills are equally, if not more important. Communication is a soft skill. Being a team player is a soft skill. Leadership when you need it is a soft skill. Problem solving is a soft skill. And Anne is absolutely correct. Things are getting a lot more competitive. Things are getting a lot more competitive. And in order for us to shine, we need to cultivate all of those skills and make sure we're showcasing them as well. So I wanted to point that out. Um, I want to jump to something else here that I had written down, which is uh, one of the things that like my research showed is that there is starting to be a loss of critical thinking skills, and that AI is starting to be a crutch for people with regards to that. And unfortunately, ladies, the younger that you are, the more prejudice people are going to be. It's not racial prejudice. And I'm not the person that doesn't believe that, prejudice doesn't exist, white supremacy, all of that. But if you are 23 and I'm 50 and somebody's looking at hiring us, they're going to assign certain skills to me that they're not automatically going to assign to you because you're 23 years old. So, Anne, I'd love for you to
Yeah.
kind of talk a little bit about uh, critical thinking skills and what's happening with AI, how managers and management
Mm.
and is looking at this
Yeah.
problem and what we can do to kind of set ourselves apart.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, there have been some studies that have shown that sometimes people will assume just because something is generated by AI, that they're
Mhm,
like, oh, the AI like probably knows better than me in this specific topic. And
mhm,
so they don't review it or they don't review it very closely. Or they're like, well, I'm really busy. And it's kind of like, well, why did you generate a 20-page report if you were too busy to read it, much less write it? And the other the other piece of this, I actually have a friend who says one of their clients, like people will generate these 20-page reports, not read them, and then send them back and forth to each other. And it's
yeah,
just like AI slop on AI slop. And tying this back to what you said about the age thing, and it's almost like I'm going to assume somebody who's been working X amount of years has seen the good, the bad, the ugly of, okay, this is what this output is supposed to do and achieve. And they're going to assume someone who's younger maybe doesn't have as much experience. And so they might assume, like, oh, okay, I'm going to give this to the person who is going to actually be able to manage the AI that they're leveraging to be able to do this task. So it's going to maybe make it faster, but also, it's going to be good, and extend beyond if it was just one person by themselves, like the AI and the human together are going to produce better output. But in terms of like the critical thinking piece, regardless of age, I think that's one of the things that we're dealing with now. You're called work slop. Exactly. If
mhm,
there's this level of, regardless of age, sometimes people are like, oh, I can just use AI for this and, pass it off to somebody else.
mhm,
And there's the thing of like, regardless of age, if you're someone where you're like, I'm not thinking about my craft, I'm not thinking about what does success mean here? What are the outcomes, not just an output, right? This is a thing of like, this is now your reputation on the line. And it's going to be like, oh, that person doesn't really like, I can tell that she uses AI on everything, but she doesn't read the output. I use AI on a lot of things. There's some things I don't use AI for because frankly, there's sometimes where I'm like, the AI is not, I know exactly what I'm going for, and the AI is not going to get me there. And it's something where
mhm,
like only I can necessarily get me there in terms of thought, especially when it comes to creative strategy. But there's other things where it's like, if I'm writing a Jira ticket, I'm like, I'm going to use AI for that, but I have to read it because if I don't, it puts in all sorts of things where it's like, hey, that's not exactly what was meant. Even if I gave you a really good description and uploaded an image, there's things where, okay, I need to be accurate because otherwise my developers are going to read the ticket and go, what's going on here? Or they're going to build something I didn't intend them to build. But it's like, you just don't want that to be your reputation. And then also there's like real resource and financial risks of doing that. You talked about being a loan officer.
yes,
One of the things is like, right, if you're doing that, there's a lot of documents that are legally binding documents in what you do. And so for the person who's out there who thinks that I can do, I can do what she does, and I'm just going to use AI for everything. If they don't know what they're talking about and they don't know what any of those terms mean, and they think, oh, I can skip the parts where I work with like a lawyer, all this other stuff, that's a really dangerous position to be in because AI can still hallucinate. AI doesn't actually know the law. Like it can get really close, but words really do mean things. And so it's not just like you have a bad reputation, but also if like you run your own business, that potentially could, damage your business or make it so people be like, I'm not going to work with that person anymore.
Yeah, and we've had this conversation, ladies, before. Many of us don't get second chances. I see people putting in here about Deloitte, about
Mhm.
Ernst and Young. They get second chances. We're honest on this channel. We don't get second
Yeah.
chances. Okay. So, uh, it- and I partially blame managers and influencers and content creators out there because even my boss, which is great guy, right? My boss, he's like, just throw it in AI and just go ask ChatGPT and let it tell you XYZ, right? And it sounds great in theory until you actually put the information into AI, you put a prompt in, you're being specific, maybe you take a prompt class and you're like, okay, pretend you're a Harvard, trained marketing specialist or branding specialist or whatever. And I'll tell you, true story. This over the past 2.5, 3 weeks, I've been working on our 2026 plan for growing our loan business. And this past weekend, I I knew I wanted to create some emails to go out to a specific target audience, right? And I put it in ChatGPT and I start off the conversation, I want to create these emails, here's some topics, let's create, list of topics, things like that. Well, talk about work slop. It gives me, emails, but the emails are like meh, right? It's like something that you would have done in 2006. It's not 2025 emails, right? And if I did not know Alex Hormozy, and if I had not read Alex Hormozy's work, for people who don't know, Alex Hormozy has a series of books, $100 million offers, $100 million leads, and he's got a third book. I can't remember what it is, but um, his whole thing is when you're writing these emails, you need things that are transformational. And um, I I'm like, ChatGPT, I didn't want to be like you're effing with me, but that's, that was a conversation I had with it. And I said, what about like an Alex Hermosi style thing? And it said, "Oh, Cherie, great observation. You're absolutely right." And it brought me back to this podcast that I was listening to where the people were like, all ChatGPT does is butter you up,
Mhm.
says you're so great, gives you something, and it's subpar. It really is. And the more I'm talking to people, different people, like we're all noticing that. So, the point of my story, and you can jump in and let me know what you're finding, is that the cream is going to rise to the top because the cream are going to be people who still study outside
Mhm.
of AI, who still read outside of AI,
Yeah.
who's still consuming outside of AI, and who is able to work with AI, but call AI on its BS and say, "Now, come on
Mhm.
now, like I,
And I think there's also a level of if we are not like very good in a certain area and then the AI does something better than we can do it, we get so impressed that
Mhm,
we're like, wow. Because one of the areas that I use AI for is usually to do like quick prototypes and mock-ups. But
mhm,
I've worked very closely with some really, really great designers who make websites, apps, that sort of thing. So when I look at it, I can say, okay, I can't do it to their level, but I can tell that this thing that the AI created for me, that's at least just for the purpose of testing out a prototype, is not, the level of quality I would want something to be to give to a real human. But for a lot of people, because they don't have really top tier design skills, they're like, oh, wow, this is really amazing. But it's like, it's that thing of, especially when you're like, okay, this is not my skill set and the AI is better than you. There's this tendency of also to kind of the other way around, tell the AI or accept things from the AI as if the AI is so good and it's a genius and all this other stuff. So it's like both ways of like letting the AI butter you up. I actually have a Claude project where I have it be a bit more critical of me. It still sometimes says things where I'm like, oh, bless your heart. That's still, I appreciate you trying to criticize me, but what I wrote is wrong and what you said is still wrong. I'm like, but it's that thing of you really have to know, and it's the
Uh-huh.
you have to get that experience, whether it's like on the job, reading, taking classes, other things, testing out different AI with products, whether it's like Claude Code, which you can use for non-coding things, or it's like you're trying out different prototyping apps, those sort of things, or just regular ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. It's really important to figure out kind of like what works for you, and also have a sense of taste of, even when you can acknowledge that the AI is better at you than something,
Mhm.
something that you're not kind of accepting its slot, because you're like, if a human gave you that, you'd be like, this is still not where I would want to go. I think of it as like a luxury home, right? And it's, you can
Mhm.
kind of tell when somebody is like, they work with like really high end interior designers versus somebody where they're like, you know, their idea of what a high end home looks like, but you're like, this isn't what it looks like when you bring in an actual high end designer. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how I think about it, where it's like, and the price difference for those two things are very different, even if one is trying to look better. But I think it's like, if you're thinking about it being a much more competitive world, you don't want to be caught being the like person where it's like, oh, I couldn't tell the difference between this high-end luxury home that has like, that is made really well versus like, this is somebody who did a quick flip and everything in here is actually like cheap as hell and going to fall apart in less than a year.
Yeah. Yeah. I do wanna turn it around a little bit and say some of the good things,
Yeah.
at least one good thing, that I've been told in my, industry, and I kind of wanna, have you talk about some of the good things as well with AI. Uh, again, I'm a mortgage loan officer, and, there's this AI expert that comes to one of our coaching groups, and he was saying that, AI now, people are putting in who's the best mortgage loan officer for
Mhm.
loans in Boise, Idaho,
Yeah.
and, ChatGPT now has a search engine, and it'll say, you know, I don't know, lender Lisa over here is
Yeah.
the best person. And the reason that's happening is because lender Lisa is in ChatGPT all the time, articles, things like that. So it's picking up that, okay, she's an expert in this thing. And um it's not only recommending, restaurants to eat at, which, you want people to engage there and things like that, but it's also recommending people and the skills that we
Yes.
have. I'd love for you to talk about that a little bit, as
Yeah.
well as like anything else that you're seeing that
Yeah.
we need to be paying attention to that's, on the good side.
Yeah, yeah. So, we're used to search engine optimization, and now there's this new category of AI engine optimization that things like Perplexity, ChatGPT, others are using, so that if you type in something, there is a service or something that pops up. And so I've heard of people saying, "Oh, somebody said they found my business because it showed up on ChatGPT, and they said I should reach out." I found a conference that I went to this summer that was about AI, and it was in Iceland. I found it via Perplexity because I was looking for events I could go to this year using
Mhm.
Perplexity. And so when I went there, they were like, "Well, how did you find out about this conference?" And I told them, and they were like, "Really?" Which was funny because it was an AI conference, and they were shocked I found out about the conference from AI. But even things where if I type in, who is the best, product manager, it's like pulling things from different sites to basically rank like who are great product managers. It's not pulling me yet, but I hope so one day.
Mhm.
But even things where it's like if I put myself into like ChatGPT and like, hey, can you tell me about Ann T. Griffin? Um, it knows who I am. Not just from me using it, because I can put it into a lot of the different tools, but it generally knows who I am and like what I do, and it can give people a summary of the type of work that I do. And so I
Mhm.
think I'll say it is a plus if you know how to do it. Like one of the things they say really helps is like having articles out there and like FAQs that come from your site. But it is something that definitely helps businesses. And I'm trying to think of other good things, um, like things that are coming out of AI. But I mean, I think I'll say, I know we've been talking about it kind of more so on the negative side, but the flip side of saying, like, we talked about, hey, if you have craft, like, there's been so many things in my business where I frankly would not have been able to do it on my own.
Mhm.
Um, but I also wouldn't necessarily have had the time to look for somebody to help me do it, or those sort of things. Or even it's like sometimes it'd have been like, um, I just need this like little part to get me to the next thing. And everyone would be like, I'm going to sell you the whole thing. And if it's a thing where I need the whole thing, I'm happy to pay. Like, cause I'm like, I have a business coach, I have other people that I pay, but there's sometimes where I'm like, I need this little bit of help. And it
Mhm.
doesn't make sense for me to pay a whole package for a thing where
Right.
it's like, I just need you to bridge me to the part where I can do it. And so there are so many things in my business where, um, I will just say, like, one thing I've become known for with my clients is the volume of like very high quality work I'm able to do. And then also, I think the other thing I've been known for is actually being very strategic and thinking far ahead. And a lot of that comes from a lot of the most tedious, lowest leverage work that I used to have to do in product. I have AI doing most of that, and then I get it the rest of the way there. And so that way I actually have more time to say, I'm going to focus on the high leverage work that's going to make you a lot of money. And I think that's one of the things that I love the most about how AI has helped me.
Yeah. Um, I think that AI is something that if you leverage it, if you're excellent already and you leverage it properly, it can make you more efficient in your excellency. And then if you are not excellent in something, it can, um, most of the time, it can show your deficiencies in
It's an
something.
amplifier. It's
It's
certainly
gonna
an amplifier.
amplify, yes, it's gonna amplify, absolutely, and it amplifies you in the good and in the not so good. Um, the one thing that I really like though is, sometimes people use terms I don't know. I love being able to go really quickly like, "Hey, what is this term? What does it mean?" You know? So, I think
That's amazing.
leveraging it for those
Mhm.
purposes makes really good sense, and
Yes.
again, I just keep saying I'm a loan officer so people don't forget as I'm giving these examples. I had a client who was like, I want to do this specific type of trust thing. And he's like, and he gives me the reason why. And the lender said no. And he's like, but I don't understand why. And I pull up, okay, what is this trust thing? And it was one little sentence, you know. Um, and because of that, I highlighted it and I said, lenders are risk averse. They're not going to allow you to do it because of this highlighted
Mhm.
thing here. But if I had not had the wherewithal to ask it, what is this thing? And tell me how it works from a lending point of view, I would not have been able to counsel him properly. And that's the biggest
Mhm.
thing that I think I want us to know, no matter um, what industry you're in, what job you have, you know, it's like really like, um, again, the amplification, using it to amplify us to make us better, but not to replace us in our skills.
Yes, not to replace the skills, not to replace the critical thinking, because the critical thinking is also what makes you you. And
Mhm.
if your critical thinking skills are that easily replaced by AI, like that's a danger zone. But like what you said also, on the job of like also using it to help explain things. Like one of the things is as a consultant, I have to go into startups and ramp up very quickly. And as part of that, I'm often working in niche industries where I don't know all the lingo. I don't
Mhm.
know all their cute little abbreviations that sometimes are not company specific, they're industry specific. And so using AI allows me to get around a lot of that because I can be in meetings and look that up. And so even my comprehension of what's happening in a meeting live is improved because I'm able to say, oh, I'm able to look this up and it's not like a thing I have to go through Google and like read 5 paragraphs. It's like it's able to give me that context. And so then also makes me better at what I do because I better understand what's going on much more quickly. It's not like a let me sit down, here's my long list of words that I heard this week and I'm asking my client to like try to help me understand a thing I'm supposed to help them with. It's like, no, I figured this out. I'm leveraging a tool that helped me understand the context. And so now I can help you with the thing that I do best.
Right, right. Absolutely. Um, I still kind of feel like I want to show this clip because I think it's just going to be useful with reinforcing some of the things that we said today. So, this is a clip of 3 gentlemen talking, and we're only going to play a couple of minutes of it. I am going to put it a little bit smaller. Let's see. Oops. Wanted to see if I can. All right. And you should still be able to hear. I just wanted the screen to be a little bit smaller here. But this gentleman here that's on the screen here is a guy named Jason Calacanis. He runs a startup. He's like an angel investor, venture capitalist kind of guy. Very successful, very, very successful. And he does this startup. This Week in Startups is a podcast he's been doing for many years. This guy is so into tech with Twitter. His Twitter name is at Jason because he was there so early. Okay. So he stays on the cutting edge of what's happening. And he and a couple of other people had this conversation again about work slop, which is a really big thing I've been studying. And I want to play a little bit of it here for you.
Yeah. So recall that MIT study from last month where it said 95% of AI pilot programs and experiments at enterprises weren't producing like real results. And we were all debating like, oh, is AI like not as good as we thought? Well, now there are research teams from Harvard and Stanford believe they may have the answer. They found that while many workers are using AI effectively to improve their efficiency, make their work better, others are lazily using these tools to create what they call low effort, passable work that ends up making more work for their colleagues down the road who have to go back, adjust it, fix it, make it better. So they define work slop as, quote, AI generated work content that masquerades as good work, but lacks the substance to meaningfully advance a given task. So a lot of this is based on a survey. They only sampled 1,150 people, which is a lot, but not massive. So keep that in mind, grain of salt. But 40% of the workers they surveyed said they'd interacted with work slop in the last month. And among those who said, yes, they had interacted with work slop, they said around 15% of the total work they see these days qualifies. So I'm curious.
Okay, so I'm gonna play more of this, but I want to bring back in. There we go. Okay, 40% of people have interacted with work slop over the past month. Y'all, that's almost half. That's a lot of people. And there are other people who are probably getting work slop but not recognizing that it's work slop. Again, work slop is when you put something into ChatGPT or any of these AI and it spits out stuff that looks good, but when you start reading it, it's garbage or it's incorrect. It has incorrect information in it, things like that. And I wanted to get your thoughts about that.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to what we were saying about like this is your reputation on the line, and maybe because either if you say some people may not recognize it, which may mean they just think you're bad at what you do. That's one thing, and it's like, is it worse to be having people think you're bad at what you do, or think that you don't have the critical thinking skills to go and correct what AI did, and that you don't know better. So when the AI outputs something, you know, either you don't know or you don't care that
Yeah.
it's not good. And I think that is, I mean, it's something where we've definitely seen that. And there was a startup that I worked with in like 2022 when like ChatGPT first came out, and I had an engineer tell me that they thought another product manager was using AI to generate all their requirements and things like that. But they never went back through and edited. So the engineer was like, this stuff doesn't make sense. And I can tell that it's AI generated. It's not
Mhm.
by a human. And so, and the question becomes, if you're going to produce that, why do I need you around? I can press a button with a prompt on my computer too.
Yeah. Yeah. And the truth is, when companies decide they want to let people go,
Mm-hmm.
your name is on the chopping block, unfortunately. So I'm going to play a little bit more because they said some other things that I thought was interesting. So let's keep listening.
Curious what you guys think about this.
This is a real thing. I have like 3 instances of this recently. Somebody was writing show notes for us, and it was Workslop, where like they were doing recaps or tweets using.
We do a thing called partner clips where we post tweets thanking the clips from the show that we also thank our partners. And yes, the team, nobody working here now, nobody's doing this, but the team was using AI to generate the descriptions for those videos, which would sometimes come out crazy or not describing what was in the video.
And
I want to say that these 3 men on the screen, these are your bosses. These are your boss's boss that's having these conversations. These are the people that are putting tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars into the companies that you're working for, having this conversation. So that's the reason why I'm reiterating the things that Ann and I have been speaking about tonight with them on the screen, saying the same stuff that we've been saying. So, we're not crazy. I'm going to keep playing, Ann, because I really want to get to the very last part. I think it's just like another minute, and what they say.
I caught it, and I was like, "What is this? Who wrote this?"
Oh yeah. So let me go back. He's saying he caught the work slop. That's the worst thing.
Yeah.
That's the word. Your boss's boss, the guy who's writing big checks, catches your work slop. It's bad. Let's keep listening.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing this, but the team was using AI to generate the descriptions for those videos, which would sometimes come out crazy or not describing what was in the video.
And I caught it, and I was like, "What is this? Who wrote this?" And they were like, "AI wrote it." And I was like, "Oh." And then I had an analyst who joined, a researcher, and I had them read out, because I checked these things, and we were like talking about a company. I said, "Read it out loud, your summary of the company." And he was reading it. It made no sense. This is maybe a year and a half ago, and I was like, "Wait, did you wrote this?" And he's like, "No, I used AI." And so today, Wednesdays, we have our management meeting. So I have a dinner. I bring dinner in, and we do a management meeting every Wednesday where the heads come to me and just tell me what they're working on, what their goals are. It's, nice little way for us to get out of our day-to-day. And I said, I realized everybody was using AI notes, then not reading them. And I was like, note taking is very important, because when you write things down on a piece of paper, you remember them and you process them.
And people are going to meetings now, and I love me some Gemini notes, but they're going to meetings now. They're participating in meetings. They're not taking notes, and then you're not doing your action items either. So the Gemini notes and the other notes that we're taking are,
Yes.
the other notes that AI is taking is supposed to be supplemental. But if there's something really big that your boss's boss is asking you to do, I'm going back to making sure that I have it in my notebook, just in case AI forgets to put it in there. So you're shaking your head. I'm gonna
I have it's not on right now. It might flash itself on when I do this. I have an actual, like, a digital notebook. I have a daily to-do list I write every day in it. I still take meeting notes in it when I prepare for me. I have a separate thing of, like, I have a meeting with someone at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I already have written notes of that. And the thing you said, when you take notes, your brain processes things differently. And the thing that I notice is because people are like, oh, it's recording, they don't process what's happening live in the meeting. Even though they might even ask a question or two, they're not processing what's happening live in the meeting. And then later, I'll get a question a day later, 2 days later, that is literally like, we just discussed that in the meeting. And I understand, I forget things that happen in meetings. I'm not saying that's not, it's not human to forget what's in meetings. But what drives me crazy is that will, especially if you're like, when I work with a client who has like Google Drive, right? All of those Gemini notes get saved to a folder. Everyone who was on the invite, even if they didn't attend, has those meeting notes. And what will drive me crazy is like, you clearly didn't take notes in the meeting, but then you also didn't read any of the AI notes. So what's going on here? Because I was like, doing both would be optimal, but you're doing neither. And that is something that drives me crazy, because I'm like, there is so much opportunity to get help. Like there's actually a thing where it's like, I will do something where if I'm having a meeting with multiple people and it is something where it's like, hey, this is very important, we all align on this, agree on about this, I will actually take the transcript and have like Gemini turn that into documentation of like, here was the agreed approach. I reread it because I know it's going to be wrong in several points, but for something that's like, hey, what did we actually agree to do? It gets me 90% of the way there. I fixed the last 10%, because that way I can say, okay, even if you didn't go read the notes or use Gemini to actually summarize what was in the notes on that decision, we now have something that like lives in a place, right, elsewhere, that is like in a format of like, this is what we discussed. And that's something of like, and even said, he was saying, okay, it generates something about like, that's not what the video is about. There occasionally I will do videos for my Substack. So I will post like one of my old Forbes articles on Substack and I'll do a quick video for it. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I want the AI to produce a video. So here's the transcript. And it will it'll be what the video is kind of about, but it'll just take all this internet SEO video slop and make me sound like someone who's just not me, and sound more like someone who's just trying to get attention rather than an expert in my field. And that's not what I'm going for. And so there's a lot of times where I have to give it so many examples so that it doesn't produce that type of slop. And I think there's like a thing of like being intentional, know what you're doing, take notes in meetings, leverage the AI notes when you can, but then also, definitely don't get caught not checking your own work. Like I'm just very passionate about, because I'm like, I've been dealing with it a lot lately.
Yeah. You mentioned it's summarizing incorrectly. I think that I speak pretty clearly. I think that I don't have an accent. I think I'm the normal, regular speaker. And I have noticed that AI will mishear terminology that I'm using. And I'm like, if you're doing it for me, not that I'm better than anybody, but I don't have an accent. I speak very clearly. If I didn't, I would be honest, but I know that I do. And I'm like, if you're getting what I'm saying incorrect, I can only imagine what you're doing for people who have accents or lisp or, stuttering or something else that's happening with them. So, going back to, we don't get second chances. People are not going to ask us why we are not reading the notes, not paying attention, not writing our own notes. They're not going to do it. All they're going to do is say, sorry, you don't fit into the work culture. We're downsizing, whatever it is. And that's it. I do want to continue because there's a little bit more that he says, and I want to get your opinion on the last little piece of this.
And then if you retype them in or you share them with another person and you crystallize them a second time, now you're really integrating them. And what I found was people in meetings are just passively not paying attention. So for tonight's meeting, I said, everybody needs to have a pen and paper, laptops closed. I want you to write notes of when you're hearing your peers go over each of their segments. It's only a 90-minute meeting, so just write notes. And at the end, we're going to do an exercise where just for 10 minutes, people type in from their notes the 5 most important takeaways they have and then share them in the group chat. So I'm just trying to get people back to understanding writing. And I think what they're going to have to do eventually is force young people, because I'm finding young people can't write, they can't type. It's like 2 things they just don't know how to do. This is a serious crisis, and they can't do math as well. And so what they need to do is, yes,
Jason,
they can't
that's
do
everything.
Okay, so kids are coming into the workforce without the ability to do math. I do this. I say, tell me the percentage. They can't do percentages. I ask them to add 2 numbers together. They literally can't do math in their brains. And these are college educated people from colleges that you would be like, what? So what they need to
I wanted to play that, and that's it. So why did I play that for you? Ladies, I hear with like different kinds of ears. I think they're going to be a subset of higher ups like this guy. I'm going to put him on the screen again just so you can see him, like this guy, who is going to say, you know what? Before you get this job, during the interview, you can't bring in a tablet. You can't bring anything. I am going to test you with pen and paper, maybe with a calculator, versus your AI tools. If people are looking for ways to weed people out, it's going to be through things like that. There are going to be situations, not everybody, but I need my UMBWs to be prepared for this, where you may not have access to the technology. It could be that the internet is out during an important meeting and you just have to be able to speak extemporaneously and write, right? And he had mentioned young people. And again, if you're 23, if you're 25, these managers all talk to each other. These billion-dollar people all talk to each other. They're all saying the same thing. And unfortunately, that is a prejudice that many, young people are facing, is you can't read, you can't write, you can't problem solve, you can't think strategically. So the way that the cream rises to the top is to be able to navigate and prove that you are able to do those things. And I thought that the end of that conversation was interesting. And I'll say one last thing, Anne, and then I'll let you talk.
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of presentations. And one of the things that I always did was I always had a paper copy of my presentation, and I was always able to give my presentation without the PowerPoint behind me. Now, PowerPoint was 2005, right? 1999. But I always did that because it wasn't me, but there was another guy that I was in a workshop with this guy, and lo and behold, the technology didn't work, and he was a deer in headlights. He could not speak off the top of his head, and I just remember thinking, oh shoot, I never want that to be me. So, I'm just trying to say that excellence, UMBW excellence, is going to require us to be able to do our jobs with this technology and without it, in my opinion. I'd love to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I will say, yes, there are people who are in, high places that maybe are there because they didn't deserve it. But there's also a lot of them who are in those places because of their own attention to detail, because they are absolutely relentless beyond anyone that is in your circle. And so when he's saying, I'm checking their work, that man runs a multi-million-dollar company, or companies,
Billion.
plural, billion.
Billion.
Yeah, because I was like, I didn't see, yeah, billion. And it's like, he's not just like, okay, cool, that's somebody else's thing. Things are moving along. Like, why is he reading that? because that's who he is. You're not gonna, no one's gonna talk him, no coach, no therapist, nobody is gonna talk him out of being who he is. And that's partially how he got to be where he is. And
Yeah.
so knowing that that person who is that relentless, who's reading the descriptions of videos, like he's not making $1 billion off of videos. Why is he reading descriptions of videos? Because he is that relentless and detail oriented. And that is the person that, you know, we all work for,
I'll
essentially.
raise you one with that. Because he caught that mistake, he will never refer that person. He will never give a recommendation
Yes.
for that person, not a real recommendation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is other buddy, let's say for whatever reason he had to lay that person off, not to any fault of their own. He'll never pick up the phone for his billionaire buddy to his billionaire buddy
Yeah.
and say, "Hey, I can't keep Ann on payroll, but she's a find. Can you fit her into your organization?" He's not going to do that because he was catching mistakes, and it wasn't like something simple. Oh, I can understand. Not something simple. Something that should, that's understandable. I should say it wasn't a mistake that was understandable. It was a mistake that was from carelessness.
Yes.
And that's one of the things I can appreciate about my mom being a baby boomer and me being Gen X was my mom, my grandmother, my great grandmother were like, what you will not do is be careless in your work. They wouldn't allow me
Yeah.
to be careless in my schoolwork. And then when I got a job, they were like, and it was still, the early 90s, mid 90s
Yeah.
was when I started working during college. And they were like, Landa, you don't get second chances. You have to go in there. You have to be perfect. And I still think that that is the way it is today.
I
Or
think
at
even
least you
more
can't
so.
be careless.
Yeah. You talked earlier about even just being able to give a presentation,
Mhm.
if the technology didn't work. I went to this meetup in 2017 when I first started learning about AI, and the name of the event was like something was like talk to me about AI like I'm 5 years old. It's like the name was about basically like teach me AI like I'm 5 years old.
Mhm.
The AV in this place for the meetup did not work. They could not get the computer to project the presentation for the life of them. And this woman, and actually her and I are friends now, and we're still friends to this day. And she's actually now like VP of like technology and AI at some big bank in Canada. She was like, it's okay. I can still present. She didn't even have paper slides in front of her. And she explained like the major disciplines of AI, and this predates Gen AI, the major disciplines of AI live to a group of like maybe like 50 or more people in person with 0 slides, and it made perfect sense. Like, I don't think she needs a recommendation from me for anything at all, ever.
Mhm.
But I'm like, if someone was like, how do you feel about Catherine? I'd be like, Catherine is possibly like the greatest person you could hire in AI to lead like an AI or technology division,
Mhm.
because and I could go off about all the wonderful things about her. And then I could point back to this event where it's like, because this wasn't just like, oh, I know AI, and then I was asked to do this talk, but I can't talk without it. It was, no, I know this inside and out, and I can
Mhm.
teach a bunch of people who don't know anything about AI way back in 2017, right? It wasn't like we had ChatGPT to like get experience using it. And she was able to explain it at a level that everyone in that room understood. And
Mhm.
that's the thing where it's like, that is what sets you apart. Like, that's hard,
Mhm.
to do. Because if ChatGPT goes down, right, who else is going to explain it to you like you're 5 years old?
Gemini, Perplexity, Claude. But the truth
Yeah.
is that we need to understand. Okay, so I will never be an AI expert. That's not my thing. But whatever I'm going to be an expert in, I need to know that material. I also need to So within being a loan officer, because that's my world, if I can't put into ChatGPT or AI and get an answer, I need to be able to go back to the source material, which are the guidelines that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and HUD has, and be able to find the guidelines and read it and say, okay, to get you this loan, XYZ. That's what makes me excellent as a mortgage loan officer. So, whatever your industry is, whatever your skills are, all I'm saying is know how to do it old school. Know how to do it old school just in case. I want to bring up a point here because I live in the world of reality. All right. Um, Luxury bucket list. I love this. I'm going to push back a little bit though. I have seen so many F ups fail forward because of who they know. True. Okay. I agree with you there. It's different for us, but I have to disagree. If it's someone's friend, they get 1,000 chances. All right. Because I think luxury, you had also mentioned about nepotism before. And I'm a big fan of nepotism. I think that more of us should practice nepotism. I do. Um, this is true. Uh, however, even with the person who's super friendly with someone else, let's say it's two white men, they're super friendly with, each other. There are still certain chances they will not take with their reputations. There are still certain people that they will not recommend that friend if that friend has effed up 1,000 times and Warren Buffett comes to them and says, "Hey, do you recommend such and such a person?" Secretly, they're going to say, "No, don't use them. Don't use them." So, um, and yes, it is true. We don't get the chances. We don't. Now, if somebody likes you, you will get an additional 2, 3 chances, right? Um, but we as UMBWs are not here to just skate by on being liked. We are here to be excellent in our skills, and also be personable and also fit in the corporate culture because that's the secret sauce to us really winning. Um, I in my meeting this morning with my team, we have a meeting every morning where we kind of just, like we'll watch a video, a little video, and we'll talk about the video. And then, and in the contents of this video in our conversation, it was about why so many people uh, want to do less than 100%. We want the same result as 100%, but we want to do it as lazily as possible. And I was the only Black person on that call this morning. Okay. Um, but the truth is that our goal is to put in 100%, and our goal is to be excellent, um, no matter what. Right. And then when we are excellent, this is my opinion, when we are excellent, we get to attract and be attractive to people who are doing high level stuff, to people who are Navy SEALs, to people who, when I'd say Navy SEALs, I just mean that, figuratively, to people who are A teams. And an A team is not going to bring in us if we're B players. A teams pay the best. A teams don't have toxic work environments. A teams, are going to let you take off enough time for maternity leave and things like that. All the things we've been talking about as Black women, A teams are going to allow us to do that. But we have to position ourselves in such a way where those people are like, yeah, that's Cherie. We want her on our team. We want her on our team no matter what. So, um,
Yeah.
your thoughts, Anne?
Yeah. And I think, you know, it all ties back to, are you so good that people can't ignore you? Are you, and the thing is like, especially, it's like, do you want to be an A player on an A team? And the thing is, like, the types of companies that are A companies, because I know there's some things in the comments about, okay, this is not true in certain companies, but it's like there are certain big companies where a lot of that can happen because they're big and they're established, and but who's going to eat their lunch are the up and coming A teams that don't have margin for that. And I think about, the number of opportunities I had, or I still get, because, the quality of my work, or even just, there's things like, I even think about how I choose to post on social media. Like, I do not have AI write my LinkedIn posts, partly because I wanted to sound like me. I wanted to be authentic, and I think people are exhausted of it. And because people get who I am, what I do, and that kind of thing, and it sounds like, okay, it sounds like Anne is an A player, even if someone who hasn't worked with me. I had somebody who had landed an opportunity to do an AI agent workshop with a major luxury fashion brand. And they said, Anne, you've been posting a lot about AI. Can we talk? We might have an opportunity for you. So in November, I'm doing this workshop as part of what the work that they won with this major luxury brand. And I'm like super excited about it. But like, those type of things happen when you are, again, intentional and not just letting AI slop represent you in the workplace, and also how you project your work out into the world as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is going to be the last comment, and because I've kept Anne longer than I had intended to. Luxury is saying, I personally saw my practice give an Aussie account to two idiots who couldn't do PowerPoint because they liked them and they lost the account. I'm going to make a statement here, a controversial statement with regards to this. If you're working in a workplace that would give an account to two idiots, you're in the wrong job. When I talk about A teams and Navy SEALs, an A team and a Navy SEAL manager, boss, CEO of a company would never give an account to two idiots. They would never give an account to two idiots. It's not going to happen, because good bosses, not good bosses, good upper management knows how much money and time it takes to get really good accounts through the door. And they're not going to squander it on idiots. Okay? They're not going to do it. So, what I said stands.
And yeah, I will say, like I said, the teams will over time eat their lunch, because also with the AI stuff we're talking about, at what point do people realize they don't need certain consulting companies, because they realize those people are taking a lot of margin but are not an A team? What happens when there's consulting firms that can bring you what the big companies can do, but they can do it with less people, right? And they're like, yeah, we know you're using AI somewhere in there, but it's better. It's, maybe it's the same price, but it might be better service, or maybe it's actually slightly less because there's less overhead, but people still, that company maybe is still taking more margin because of how it's operating. Because like right now, everything we know, our assumptions about how industries work, how companies work, is being flipped on its head. And so it's a thing of like, you know, if you are LeBron James and you find yourself on the NBA team with the worst players, you have to ask yourself, am I LeBron, the best at basketball or one of the best at basketball? Or is there something that maybe I'm not as good? Because like there's a reason why we haven't seen LeBron on a team where he doesn't really want to be, or with
Mhm.
people who are really, you could say, okay, we won't get into all the basketball stats. I also don't know them all. But there's a reason why he has had a lot of optionality in what teams he chooses to be on. And that needs to be the level of excellence that we aspire to, that you have LeBron level optionality. You're not the person that every single year a team is trying to trade you because they're like, I don't really know about them and their work. They're fine. They play basketball better than the league below, but they are like, there's a lot of people who could almost play just as good.
Right.
That's not where you
Or or another example is Michael Jordan.
yeah.
When he was with the Bulls, he didn't start winning championships until he got on the right team, got with the right coach. I think it was Phil Knight was the coach. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And he actually worked with the team. They worked together in order to win games. If people listen to Michael Jordan's, you know, history and biography, either the first season, the first couple of seasons, he was a knucklehead. Uh,
Yeah.
That's a technical
Yeah.
term. But he was hogging the ball and he was trying to do it all himself and blah, 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 blah. And I think what you're saying is true, is that um, McKinsey, for example, used to be like the cream of the crop with regards to um, its work product,
Mm-hmm.
the talent it would attract, the accounts it would get. And what are we hearing now? I mean, the stuff that McKinsey is coming out with, it may not happen all at once, but people over time are like, nah, I'm going to go find somebody else. Oh, I used to think I had to go to that big four firm, but I don't have
Mm-mm.
to anymore. There's a ton of firms I can go to. There's a ton of freelancers I can go to and get the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the name brands are not what they used to be, you know. So um my thought still stands with regard to this whole conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And
know.
someone said you got to be the LeBron of what you're doing. And that's exactly it. That's why your craft, like your dedication to quality, also like aligning what you are uniquely good at
Mm-hmm.
is so important, because that's how you get optionality. That's also what makes you hard to be replaced by AI, because if you're average at something that everybody else is average at, again, that
Mhm.
doesn't put you in a really good position.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I feel like I've taken more of your time than I said I would. I want to thank you so
That's
much. I
great.
had a great
Same.
conversation. I do want to let the ladies know. First of all, ladies, still 28 of you in here. Please like the video. Please like the video for me if you haven't done so yet. Jumpstart Your AI Career is a
Yes.
course that you teach. If
Yes.
if the ladies want to get into AI at all,
Mhm.
AI careers, how again do they find that course?
Yes. So you can go to you can, if you go on Google and type in "Jumpstart Your AI Career," O'Reilly, and then you can also put in my name. Let me see. Am I able to join the? Am I able to put something in the chat?
You should be able
Okay.
to. If
Let me
not,
see.
then
Oh, it
I
wants me to connect to
can.
YouTube. I'll put it in the private
Okay.
chat and see.
Yeah, you can put it in the private chat, and I think I found it here.
Yeah.
So let me put it on the
Wonderful.
screen here and see if share this tab instead and put it up on the screen for people. This is it, right? Yeah,
That
this
is
is it.
it.
This is
That's
you.
me.
Okay, everybody. Here it is on the screen here. Jumpstart Your AI Career, O'Reilly is what I put into Google. I also put the link into the chat for everybody. And tell people again what this course is about.
Yeah, so this course is for people who are interested in learning about AI itself. So not necessarily just like how to use ChatGPT, but like what are the different disciplines in AI? How are people using AI to build AI powered products? What are, how do you understand your interests in like what is actually a massive field, and how do you put together a roadmap to upskill yourself? Whether it's like you just want to know more about like how you would in theory build an AI product, or you are like, I am, already somebody said they're a scrum master, product owner. You're interested in like, how would I start working at places doing this, but for AI products? So we talk about that, and it's really helping people understand their own path and roadmap, because it is unique to everyone. Where someone, you said, be the LeBron of your, what you do. My whole thing is if I tell everybody to take the same 5 classes, everyone's the same. So it's really like, how do you actually find what your interests are, focus in on that, so that way also you stay motivated and learning in a lifelong way about like things in the field of AI, and also helps you, I'll say, filter out a lot of the noise and focus on the signal.
Yeah. Um, I don't know what's forthcoming with AI, but I will say this. 15 years ago, nobody knew who a content creator was or what a content creator was. We had so many people that said, oh my goodness, the internet is coming. So many people are going to lose their jobs. And what happened? People got new jobs. We had so many people say, oh, social media is changing so many things. People are going to lose their jobs. And what happened? We got new jobs. Now content creation is an industry. It's not just the person in front of the screen. It for the longest time, it was the editors, the producers, the agencies, things like that. I personally believe, I'm 100% sure that new industries are going to crop up because of AI. And all I can tell you is if you're not already excellent in something, then maybe AI is the wave you need to be on. So just attending and sessions, and these are all online, I'm guessing.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and being able to say, okay, let me figure out how to ride the wave here with AI. Um, and Level Up Single Mom is in the building. Hello, saying I needed this. I've been scared to use AI, believe it or not, but it can be useful in ways I need right now. Well, I'm so happy you are here, Level Up Single Mom. NC Worker is also in the building. This is one of our guys who comes over. As a man, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. Well, thank you so much, NC Worker. Oh, was I muted?
I can hear
Okay.
you. I
All
don't know.
right.
Can you hear
Okay.
me? I don't know.
Yeah, I can hear you
Okay.
as well. Okay. All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much, Anne, for being
Thank
here.
you for having
Also, can
me.
people link in with you on LinkedIn? Is that okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love that. Yeah.
Yes, ladies. So I definitely recommend you connect with Anne on LinkedIn. She's active on
Yes.
LinkedIn.
I'm active on LinkedIn. I'm really good at LinkedIn without being AI slop. And you
Uh-huh.
can also, if you go into Google and you type Ann T. Griffin Forbes, you can see all my Forbes writing, though I also post all my new articles on LinkedIn as well.
Yes, yes. And people are saying thank you to you, Anne.
Oh,
So,
thank you for having
uh,
me. Such a pleasure.
thank you, everybody. All right, ladies, I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye.